January 29th, 2001 is a date that will always stick with me as a SEGA fan. It's the day that I got my hands on Yuji Naka and Sonic Team's Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast. With a keyboard in my lap, a controller in hand, and a 56K dial-up connection, 18-year-old me was launched into a whole new world of online gaming. A world of gaming with other people, strangers, across the globe, in real time. And a means to communicate with them at the same time. It literally staggered my imagination. Sure, there had been folks playing massive, multiplayer online games on PC for a while, but it was this game that really brought it to widespread consumer appeal through a home console launch. But despite what I had thought for over a decade, Phantasy Star Online was not the first console game to attempt this. Dragon's Dream was an MORPG jointly developed by Fujitsu and Sega's own CSK Research Institute, or CRI, and published by Sega in 1997 exclusively in Japan. That makes it the first online multiplayer RPG released for a home console, 3 years before Phantasy Star Online made its Japanese debut on Dreamcast in 2000. Now, some of you may be wondering, why have I never heard of this game before? Aside, of course, from the fact that it was a Japanese-only release. Well, perhaps the most obvious reason is that it wasn't exactly a success, like by any means. But we'll take a moment to talk about why that was. For starters, the game was never even available for retail in stores, but rather was offered for free upon request from Sega or NiftyServe, the company that hosted and ran the game's server. Sega was desperate at the time to promote the Saturn's online capabilities in Japan, and because all the profits from this game would come from the service itself, they decided to distribute the game's software for free. As a result of distribution upon request, not that many copies of the game were even made to begin with, adding to its overall rarity and scarcity to this day, and likely one of the reasons many folks may not even be aware of its existence. As a game designed entirely for online play, it would utilize and require both the Sega Net modem and Saturn keyboard, and while there were rumors of an X-band version in development, no such version ever materialized. So another reason for its relative obscurity is that the game relies entirely upon a connection to the proprietary cross-platform server run by NiftyServe, without which the player cannot even advance beyond the main menu. Oh yeah, did I mention that this game was cross-platform? That's right. There was actually a Windows PC version that ran on the exact same server as the Saturn version. Wow. So the basic timeline goes like this. Summer of 1997, the beta is released. By December 20th of 1997, Sega launches the official service for SEGA Saturn, but by April 1998, they've already lowered the connection fee from 10 yen per minute to 6 yen per minute over dropped subscriptions and complaints of the high cost to play. In April of 1998, they distribute the Windows version client, and by October 1st, 1999, the servers are shut down. That means that if you're a Saturn gamer, you got about 2 years to play the game, and if you're a Windows user, you only got about 1.5 years. And as for that high cost to play the game, beside the free disc of course, you were out the cost of the modem and the keyboard right off the bat, after which you paid 500 yen per month for each NiftyServe account, and then 10 yen per minute to play the game. Now of course later it was reduced to 6 yen per minute, but this was all besides the cost of your touch-tone phone fees. Both gamers and Japanese games press were highly critical of this and jokingly referred to the game as a billing nightmare. But perhaps stepping away for a moment from the game's drawbacks and failures, let's take a minute to focus on what Dragon's Dream was. At its core, the game basically plays out like a 3D dungeon crawler RPG similar to Shining the Holy Ark or the Etrian Odyssey games. The player logs into the game by launching the client software and dialing up to the NiftyServe access point. In a town, you would create a new player character and buy or sell items. It also functioned as the lobby area, including a general chat, bulletin board, and mail transmission and reception. Bars were scattered across the city and basically functioned as chat rooms where you would form new parties and head out for a dungeon exploration. A unique dungeon was generated for each party, and separate parties would not encounter each other during the adventure. However, by disbanding the party while in the dungeon, each player character could continue alone and possibly encounter other player characters during play. A later software update had planned to implement dungeons that would allow multiple parties to coexist and encounter each other. NiftyServe used a single cross-platform server for the game world, and all participants would play on the same server regardless of the platform, which means that both SEGA Saturn and Windows users would occupy the same game world and could form parties together. The game universe consisted of two main worlds, the world of the human race, Mysaria, and the parallel world of the demons, Tyzeria. An experiment conducted by scientists in Mysaria was said to have caused a hole in space-time, resulting in an invasion of the demons from Tyzeria. Mysaria consists of 4 cities: Meliapolis, a city inhabited by the Duran race; Angel Palace, a city inhabited by Angela; Dragon Square, a city inhabited by Dragonute; and Lunaria, a city mainly inhabited by Rula. Starting from each city, players would proceed to a separate dungeon quest. Tyzeria, however, had no cities, but only bars, forts, and dungeons, as it was the world of the demons. Players could select any of the following 8 races to create their player character. Dulam, a human race with an average ability score, is mostly found to inhabit Meliapolis. This race seems to have slightly higher body strength than its ancestors due to years of mixing with Tyzerian races. Angela, the angel family, is an agility type possessing a large pair of wings on its back. It's often found to inhabit the Angel Palace. It was born during the great invasion of Tyzeria by genetic manipulation with angelic demons. This genetic manipulation, combined with the intense properties of Tyzerian blood, has led to physical malformations, and thus it is rare for any pair of wings to be uniform. This was one of the most popular races in terms of its ability value and its player population. Dragonute, or dragon people, are a muscle type, a green dragon covered in scales that walk upright. It largely inhabits Dragon Square and was born during the great invasion of Tyzeria by genetic manipulation with the dragon demons. Rula is known as the Slime Tribe. It's a magic type and appears somewhat human due to intermixing with human-like races. It mostly inhabits the Lunaria region. Due to its aquatic race and dark green skin, it was commonly and jokingly known as Wakame by players. Rugalam are the giants, or the physical type, who were born by genetic manipulation with the giant demons during the Tyzeria invasion. Elfin are the fairy tribe, who are a magic type with long, sharp fairy ears, and they were born by genetic manipulation with a fairy demon during the Tyzeria invasion. Beast, who are a beast/human race, are an agility type where men look like dogs and women look like cats. They were born during the invasion of Tyzeria through genetic manipulation with, you guessed it, a beast demon. The Aleph are a mental race. They're physical, mental, and magic type that emit blue light from their skin. Their ability value is high overall, but most items cannot be equipped because they have a mental body. It is said that they are a former Tyzeria demon who settled in Mysaria due to an aggression of the Tyzeria invasion, but its roots are not exactly clear. Though Dragon's Dream was eagerly anticipated by some Japanese gamers as the first online console RPG, it did have trouble gaining awareness among the mass consumer market, and in addition to this, the additional cost we discussed of the required modem and the keyboard presented a greater barrier to entry. At the time, participation fees such as the data management and play connection fee, adopted by many games today, had not yet been introduced to the public, and these considerable costs were significant obstacles when it came to marketing the game to consumers. With a pay-as-you-go system, dedicated gameplay resulted in a higher overall cost, often exceeding 100,000 yen per month in communication fees. Most Japanese gaming news outlets focused and criticized its service fees. As a result, many players withdrew after only a short period of time. Just 4 months after the service launched, the pay connection fees were cut by 40%, along with the introduction of the Windows PC version. The high cost of running such a robust cross-platform server in the 90s, combined with a significant price cut to consumers, yielded insufficient profit to sustain operation. As a result, the service ended after just 2 years of operation. During its operation, however, the small number of total participants contributed to a close cooperation and exchange between players, and it was this experience that would later inform Sega's development of Phantasy Star Online and the Dreamcast Online services through SegaNet to come. It's often said that Sega were way ahead of their time for their own good, and Dragon's Dream is certainly no exception.